I told you the story of Alice, but I'll let her tell you the story herself and how she came to starting the Maurice Moses Foundation, a charitable health organization that is doing something that probably has never been done before. Very good morning to you, Alice, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's start with, how did Maurice Moses Foundation come to life?
Maurice Moses Foundation was not planned, I must say. It started by default, if I may call it that. My husband was still...
Welcome back. You're still watching KTN Sunrise Live. We want to switch the gears and move into finance at this particular moment. And would you imagine, for those of you who are not aware, last year the Kenyan diaspora sent almost $1 billion by sending in about 70 billion Kenyan shillings, an incredible amount. It just tells you the significance that this has to our economy. Financial institutions are not slowly, very fast actually, shifting their focus to this vital segment of our economy. And this morning, just take us through this very important topic is Joram Kiarie, who's the Director of the Mortgage Business at KCB. Very good morning to you. Welcome to KTN Sunrise Live.
Thank you, James. Good morning.
Let's start from that point. 70 billion shillings, or even more probably, because we're counting for just the official figures. The official figures.
Yeah.
How important is this to our economy?
Yeah. Thank you, James. The amount of money that Kenyans in the diaspora and indeed East Africans in the diaspora are sending to this region is really huge. When you think about 70 billion shillings, that essentially gives you about 6 billion shillings monthly. And that is Kenya alone, which is very closely followed up by Uganda and, of course, the other East African countries. So there is a lot of funds coming into this region, and principally a lot of those funds come into for various purposes, from investment, from family support, education, medical support, as well as, of course, property investment is a key area of focus, because all those people in the diaspora will at one time want to come back home, and they want to therefore invest so that by the time they come back and settle, they have cash flows and they have properties they can count on.
Do you think that the financial players, I know it's putting yourself on the spotlight a bit,
yes,
but do you think financial players, the government, all of us were caught sleeping? We were not aware of this huge potential that lies in the diaspora?
Indeed, I think until the statistics started really coming out, and there's a reason World Bank report that brought out those figures of 70 billion, $800 million actually last year. All of us really did not realize what diaspora inflows mean. And now we actually begin to understand through those kind of statistics. And if you imagine that is Kenya only, for a group like KCB, which plays in all the East African countries, that is 6 countries in the East African region, all East African countries and South Sudan, then you actually begin to imagine the potential that lies within us. And again, when you look at diaspora now, we must also, therefore, those are funds mainly coming from out of countries like UK, US, Australia, etc. Within East Africa itself is the East African diaspora, because we have a lot of Kenyans today working and living in Tanzania. We have diaspora remittances from there. We have Kenyans today working in Rwanda, in Uganda, and vice versa. If for KCB Group, which operates everywhere, we have Rwandese people working and living in Kenya who therefore remit, money back home. So when you look at the total business, it is really substantial.
Let's talk about, potential is one thing, but what you do with the potential is another thing.
Yes.
And you guys have looked at this and said, this 70 billion is, when you take the profit by all the Kenyan banks put together, it still matches it.
Yes.
So what has KCB decided to do with this, huge potential?
Yes. What we've done is really packaged what we are calling a diaspora proposition, basically a pool of products which typically all customers in the diaspora will be looking for. And on Monday this week, our group CEO, Dr. Martin Oduor-Otieno, actually did launch KCB's diaspora proposition. And it was really a colorful ceremony. And what that aims to do is to have a pool of products that customers will typically use. And that is, it looks at diaspora account in all kinds of currencies, from the US dollar to Great Britain pound to all the East African countries, all the hard currencies, as well as, of course, the Kenya shilling and other East African country currencies. We also, in that basket of products for diaspora customers, we have money remittance product. We have investment product for those who would obviously want to invest in the money market or in the equities market. We have also mortgage products, because a lot of the funds coming in are for real estate investment. And combined with all that, it's packaged with internet banking, with cell phone banking, with a contact center which is very vibrant. And we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, so that Kenyans and East Africans in the diaspora are easily able to get in touch with us.
Now, the word diaspora is a very broad term.
Yes.
Are you encompassing, I mean, what scope of the diaspora are you including there?
Okay. We are looking at all, starting with Kenyans living out of Kenya, probably Europe, world, but we are also looking at Kenyans, for example, living in East Africa, in the East African countries, and in Africa, because really, when you say diaspora, it means somebody who is living and working out of their home country, and they want to make investments back in their home country. And therefore, we are looking at the wider sense of the word diaspora.
So ideally, if I'm seated somewhere, I don't know, like Egypt, and I'm a Kenyan.
Yes.
How can this help me? Let's start with your specific department. If I want to invest in real estate, what value does this add to me? Yes.
Okay. First of all, like we said, for any Kenyan, if I may use that, and then obviously East Africans living and working out of their particular countries, ultimately they have the mind of coming back home, either settling, later on in their years, and therefore they need to make investments back home. The real estate sector is one area which is really important for such investment, because at the end of the day, it will store value for you. You will be able to get capital gains from such investments, and in addition to that, you'll be able to get rental income if, for example, you put up, a block of flats for investment. And for guys who live and work out of this country, that is one easy way of actually making investments, because it's not something that necessarily requires, daily administration in terms of daily running of a business. You just need to, do the project and probably have a caretaker and an agent who collects the rent for you and banks it for you.
So basically what you're saying is that Kenyans abroad can now even apply for mortgages?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just to wind up this discussion.
Yes.
Going forward,
yes.
What do you think this is going to grow? We're having problems in Europe, in the US, in terms of the economies and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Are you still upbeat about the potential that belies, this amounts of money that the Kenyan diaspora have?
Yes, it will continue to grow for sure. We've seen, when you think about us generating graduates in Kenya alone, 100,000 probably every year, it means that probably a good number of them will end up in other countries, whether in East Africa, in Europe, or in the Americas, And ultimately, whenever we have, Kenyans or East Africans out, they will always remit money back home. Exactly. And the more we have, the more the inflows. And particularly when the returns are very low in those kind of countries, when the economies are not doing very well, then this is actually a new investment frontier for anybody.
Which reminds them,
yes,
you need to prepare.
Yes,
this could end any day.
Yeah, so you got to be ready to invest back home, and just in case things are not working there, or you finally make up your mind that after 10 years you definitely want to be back home.
Let's hope they're watching, because we're live around the world on KTN.TV. I hope that they've been able to listen to the advice that you had for them. Joram, Kiarie, thank you very much for joining us this morning for that very informative. The Divisional Director in charge of mortgages from the Kenya Commercial Bank.